Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Tuesday. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz had previously promised to cancel the controversial operation in exchange for the captives. The idea that we will stop the war before achieving all of its goals is out of the question, Netanyahu said in a statement from his office. We will enter Rafah and we will eliminate Hamas battalions there, with or without a deal, to achieve total victory. Situated at Gaza's southern border with Egypt, Rafah is currently home to an estimated 1.4 million Palestinians who have fled the northern reaches of the enclave. Since October, Israel has carried out regular airstrikes in Rafah against what it claims are Hamas targets, and Netanyahu has threatened for months to launch a ground invasion of the city, despite objections from the U.S. and UN. However, Katz told Israel's Channel 12 on Saturday that Israel would suspend the operation if Hamas agreed to release some of around 130 Israeli hostages still in its captivity in Gaza. U.S. tells Hamas to accept extraordinarily generous deal. Read more. U.S. tells Hamas to accept extraordinarily generous deal. As Katz spoke, Hamas was studying an Israeli ceasefire proposal that would see fighting temporarily pause so that several dozen hostages could be swapped for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is set to arrive in Israel to discuss the deal later on Tuesday, has called its terms extraordinarily generous and called on the militants to decide quickly and accept it. It is unclear how Netanyahu's comments will affect Hamas' decision. The militant group has previously rejected Israel's terms, insisting that any truce must include a path to a permanent ceasefire and a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Netanyahu's hardline coalition partners, however, have demanded that the Prime Minister go ahead with the Rafah operation. Any compromise, Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said on Sunday, would amount to a humiliating surrender for Israel. During a speech on Monday, Smotrich said Israel should seek the total annihilation of its enemies, Israeli media reported. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir claimed on Tuesday that Netanyahu had promised him, Israel will enter Rafah, promised that we are not stopping the war, and promised that there won't be a reckless deal. U.S. politicians living in Wonderland, Moscow. Washington insists the Ukraine conflict must be settled based on the UN Charter, but backs Kiev's peace formula. The Foreign Ministry says U.S. calls for Russia to hold talks on ending the Ukraine conflict seem detached from reality and ignore Moscow's previous attempts to reach a settlement, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has said. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken insisted on Monday that Moscow's alleged plans to erase Ukraine from the map failed. He added that he hopes Russian President Vladimir Putin has taken note of Western support for Ukraine, gets the message, and demonstrates a willingness to genuinely negotiate consistent with the basic principles of the international community and the UN Charter: sovereignty, territorial integrity, independence. Responding to Blinken's remarks later that day, Zakharova said American politicians seem to live in a wonderland. She recalled that in 2014 and 2015 Russia showed respect for international law by promoting the now-defunct Minsk agreements, which sought to end the bloodshed in the region by giving the two Donbass republics special status within the Ukrainian state. DNS News 24 hours with you, bringing today's latest news in the world in a simple and safe way. Don't forget to follow us and leave a like. Tell me where you are watching our videos from. Activate